Okay, we're live.
Good morning, everybody. It is for us Monday, 7:30 a.m.
You got it.
We had a busy schedule this week, so we are recording our Thursday episode on May 1st, 7:30 a.m.
You got it. And it's apparently Asian American Heritage Month or something like this.
It is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Is that the real full thing?
That is a real thing. It used to be Asian Pacific Heritage Month, and then I believe it used to be a week. And from my understanding, George Bush decided to make it a month.
Oh, really?
Correct.
This was a George Bush thing.
He made it a month.
Is this George Bush Sr. or George Bush II?
1990-ish.
Yeah,
What
so
is that?
senior?
Senior?
Yep.
So King Bush made it Asian Pacific Heritage Month, and then King Obama made it Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month because he thought the Asian Pacific Heritage Month wasn't descriptive enough.
Oh, I see. He needed a greater swath for his electoral base, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
So happy Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, everybody.
But here's the thing I'm actually confused about, guys. Good morning, everybody. The thing I'm confused about is like, what are we actually promoting here? How are Asians doing better because of this?
Well, can you look up what it actually means? Because I'm not 1,000% sure on what that means. I believe it's supposed to be similar to the Asian version of Black History Month.
Okay.
So to celebrate Asian American contributions to United States, maybe?
Listen to this guy. Okay, first and foremost, I think, okay, what does it say?
Okay,
May is Asian Pacific Heritage Month, a celebration of Asians and Pacific Islanders in the American states. A rather broad term, Asian Pacific encompasses all Asian continents, blah, 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 blah. Like most commemorative moments, Asian American History Month originated in Congress in 1977. Reps Frank Horton, New York, introduced the House resolution. And the whole purpose of this was to be a month to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese. Oh, so the month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7th, 1843, in which they subsequently put all of the Japanese in internment camps and then completely murdered a lot of them.
I don't think that's what it says.
No, that's not what it said, guys. But that's kind of what happened afterwards, right? Didn't Truman do that? Thanks, Truman.
So it is to celebrate Asian Americans and Pacific Americans. I'm trying to figure out what the difference is.
There is no difference. Let's be intellectually honest. When Black History Month rolls around, do you actually sit down and think to yourself, I need to celebrate blackness or my blackness? Actually, that's exactly what Matt says. He sits down and he says, Black History Month, how can I celebrate my blackness?
So there is a Black History Month. There is this month, which is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I believe there's also Hispanic Month, which is not a full month, but like goes from September 15th to October 15th, October 15th to November 15th.
There's too many cultures. There's only 12 months, man. It's not going to work out in the end.
And we've mentioned this before on the pod, but the term Asian is really weird for me because Asian is everything that's a part of Eurasia that is not white.
Yes. So it's China, Japan, Korea, India,
Correct.
Right? Mongolia, right? They're all Asian.
And they are all the same continent.
Yes.
So Europe and Asia are the same continent. Geography lesson, everybody. There is no continental divide between Europe and Asia. They just took the white Europeans on one side, and they said everything that's not that is now Asia.
Which is really interesting because some European, especially some Russian states, most of their citizens look daggum Asian.
Correct.
And because there's been that interbreeding, their ladies are absolutely gorgeous in most cases. They're like the most gorgeous, somewhat Asian looking, but they're all Russian speaking. It's crazy.
Like Kazakhstan.
Yeah,
places
Kazakhstan.
like this.
Yeah.
And in Asia, if you're in Korea and you look at a world map, India is not a part of Asia. Which makes sense because there's 1.5 billion of them.
Yes.
They are their own continent. If we are no longer using continental divide. So India and South Asia should be its own continent, technically, because we're dividing by how people look, not by actual geography, right?
Yes.
So then
Well, there's a cultural divide as well.
Correct. So they are very similar. So if you see someone from India or Pakistan or Bangladesh, they look very similar. Similar culture and heritage.
Yep. All look same, guys. All look same.
If anything, I would argue that all of Asia is probably the most culturally diverse. Maybe it looks most similar, but culturally the most diverse. Between Korea and Japan and Vietnam and Cambodia and Philippines, their culture is not similar.
Absolutely.
Very different histories that are extremely long histories.
Yes.
So if anything, I would say they are more diverse. They just look similar. They're kind of yellow and got slanty eyes.
That reminds me. Did you ever go to that website back in the day, All Look Same?
No.
Okay, Will, check it out. See if it's still around. Alllooksame.com, I believe, was what it was. And it's hilarious. They essentially throw up 2 random pictures of Asians. Right? It's still here? click on it. Let's go through this. All look same. So you're supposed to guess.
Okay.
All right, let's guess. Let's guess.
Okay.
Is this guy Japanese, Korean, or Chinese? I think he's Japanese.
I'm gonna say Chinese.
Okay, whatever Will you want to do.
we gotta go with a group pick.
All right. Japanese.
Japanese. I'll choose the first one. You'll choose the next one. All right. So all look same.
Chinese.
All right, your call. Chinese. All right, totally. He's got to be Japanese.
All right.
I'm
can roll with
I'm
that.
gonna make the call on that one.
This guy's Chinese.
Okay.
I want to say Japanese.
All right, let's see. Whatever he says. All right.
This guy's Korean.
He looks Korean. Yeah, he looks Korean.
She is either Chinese or Korean. Korean? What do you think, Will?
See, this is the problem. Yeah. This is the problem with this. I can't believe
all
this.
All look same, man.
I can't believe this site is still out. This site has been out for over 2 decades, guys. Like, I used to chalk this shit in college. We used to make fun of it because people were like, who is this? I think this is Chinese.
All right.
Maybe Korean. That guy could pass as Korean.
This guy's either Japanese or Korean.
Yeah. 2 Japanese.
She is
Japanese.
You think?
No way. Fine. Because the teeth?
Okay, Japanese, yeah.
Chinese.
Chinese. Yeah, I think it's the teeth that does it for me. This one, he looks Japanese. He looks really?
All right. Chinese. Let's see how we do. She's got to be Korean. She's got to be Korean.
That's what I was. She's got that angry Korean.
Yeah. This guy's Korean too.
This guy looks Korean. He could pass as Japanese, Korean, or Chinese for sure.
I'm gonna say Korean on this one.
Yeah, he looks like country artist.
Yeah.
All right.
This guy
Chinese?
Yeah. I could see that.
I think so. Yeah.
Whoa.
Ooh, she's not. She's
Japanese.
She's Chinese, I think.
Korean.
Oh, you think Korean?
Yeah, I think
really?
So.
You think Korean?
I think so.
Okay, let's see.
Right.
I think so. Oh, this could go either way.
I think Chinese.
All right. I can see that.
Chinese.
Chinese.
Korean.
Whoa.
Chinese.
You don't think that's Korean?
I think she's Chinese.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right, Chinese. All right. Let's see how we did.
What?
What? We scored 8?
8.
Right.
Average is
7.
Wait, they got to give us what they really are. How are they going to just tell us wrong, yes or no?
Oh, man. So we got this guy. This guy
was probably Japanese.
Yeah, he's probably Japanese.
Wait, if you hover over them, do they tell you what the correct answer was?
Oh, they should tell us who it was. I think they did it better on the previous versions. But see, this is the problem. This is like this was the first time I used it.
No, these are the correct answers. I think, remember, we picked Japanese for this guy, right?
Oh, it's whether or not we got it right or wrong, but what they really are.
We definitely didn't pick Korean for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the answers, but whatever we picked was wrong.
Oh, okay.
So we do not know our Asians.
So, but here's the point. Like this site has been around for over 2 decades from what I understand. And so,
Matt got this right.
Oh, yeah, did get it right.
I knew a girl that looked just like her, a Korean girl.
So, And so this was the first time, like 20 years ago, where I realized like I couldn't blame white people
For not telling the
for
difference.
basically saying, you know, Peter, you guys all look the same. It's like, you're not wrong. We kind of all look the same, bro.
So when you're in South America and they see an Asian person, they call everyone Chino.
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do.
And there are Asians out there who get very offended by that
Why?
because they're like, I'm not Chinese,
Oh, 그래.
right? I was in China once and I was at the hotel and I saw these two girls sitting at the bar, two white girls, Eastern European. I assumed they were probably Ukrainian. I saw them sitting at the bar wearing very pretty dresses at a hotel bar, and I automatically assumed that they were hookers.
Welcome to early morning pods, guys, on Mondays.
And I thought about it. I was like, oh, they could be Russian. They're probably like, oh, this guy's a racist. They thought I was Ukrainian, right? But in context of where I was and what was going on at the situation, to think that they are Ukrainian hookers, I don't think is a far reach. I don't think that makes me racist for thinking that.
I don't think so. I think it's okay that for you to have preferences and for you to project.
I don't know if that was a preference.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's nothing wrong. Bruh. Everyone has preferences and they project those preferences out into the world. And people sometimes say that your preferences are biased towards one particular people group or one particular thing that you appreciate more than others. Is that racist? I don't think so at all. So I think it's okay to have preferences and to project those preferences out to the world.
And is it so bad to be a little racist?
I think the way that you state it is problematic. I think I would restate it as saying, is it bad to have preferences and to communicate preferences of communication style, physical looks, culture? This is okay.
Isn't having preconceived notions about somebody or a set of people based on their race the definition of racism?
No.
Is it not? Can you
No.
Google what it actually,
Google racism
yeah,
so we can
Google
figure it out
racism.
here. So we're clearly 40-year-old man can't figure out what racism is, or we still don't know what it is. No, I'll tell you what racism is a particular, I'm gonna say it my way, particular bias towards a particular skin color where you are choosing or thinking that that skin color is better than another skin color. Right, something like this, and you behave differently based on that. What does it say? Belief that a race is fundamentally determinant of human traits and capacities, and as racial differences produce an inherent superiority of a particular race. Okay, so what racism really is believing that one skin color is more valuable than another skin color.
But that requires context. If I am at a basketball court and I see, and we are picking teams, and I pick the black guy because I assume he's going to be better.
Is that racism?
I mean, essentially, according to the definition, right? I'm assuming
You're
based
assuming
on his
the black guy is
characteristics.
superior at basketball than the Korean guy, the Asian guy?
I am.
I guess we could categorize that as race. You're being racist.
Am I?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, by definition, I am, right?
I guess you're not systematically oppressing this person. You're actually using this person as a black.
I mean, if we
basketball
go
player.
into definition 2, definition 3, maybe. But if we stay at definition 1,
yeah, this political stuff is nonsense. If we stay at number 1, which is believing that one race has more capabilities or superior to others, and you make decisions based on that, I guess that would be considered racist.
okay, I'll give you another scenario. I was out at dinner with a couple of friends of mine, and we like to do something called credit card roulette.
Yes, I understand that.
We throw our credit cards in,
Yep.
and one person pays.
Exactly.
And this one night, one of my white friends lost. And, you know, he gets a bill, and he's got to pay, and he whips out his phone. And I already know what he's going to do with his phone. He's calculating his tip. Because he needs a calculator. Because, you know, they're not good at math. Right? I knew what he was going to do as soon as he grabbed his phone. I was like, this motherfucker can't do the math on 20%. And he needs his calculator. And fair enough, That's exactly what he was doing.
Did you keep the silent part inside?
Of course not. I said, really, bro? You need a calculator for 20% on this? right?
Why you throw him shade like that, man?
But I totally assumed, and I was correct. And I assumed that me as an Asian is better at math. Right? And that he was grabbing his phone, not to take a picture, but to use his calculator.
Is that racist?
Is that racist?
I don't think so, man. I think my spectrum of what racism is far, or what racism isn't, is far broader than most people. I just don't get offended that easily.
And I don't know if that it means that you get offended. Right? I think that's a secondary thing.
But doesn't racism require someone to be offended for it to be racism? Like, think about this. Like, if no one ever got offended about the fact that you had a bias, or you had a particular slant, or you had a particular predisposition, if no one actually ever got offended or gave a shit, no one would ever categorize it as racist.
But we are in a day and age where someone is always offended by something.
Yeah, because people are a bunch of pansies, man.
So there could easily be someone that says, I can't believe you assumed that your white friend cannot do 20% math, and they are very offended by it.
Okay, so by them being offended by it, is that a reflection of you, or is that a reflection of them and then their insecurities about that idea?
There was a time where they said anyone that voted for Trump was a racist.
Yeah, okay, yep. Yeah,
Right?
I remember that. Yep.
And it's almost like the term racism gets thrown around so haphazardly that it's almost losing its meaning.
I think we're already there. I think the word racism or racist has completely lost any meaning of the original intent, and it actually holds very little water and very little weight these days.
Because it's so easy to call someone a racist.
Yeah.
And per modern definition of how easily it's thrown around, I would categorize myself in that category of a modern day racist.
You heard it here, folks. Make sure to go to Discord, join us, smash the like button, and subscribe.
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked
to
up.
Matt Kim Podcast, The Racist.
You know, we've had this conversation before, but if I walk into a Mexican restaurant and everyone in that restaurant is not Mexican, I assume this place is going to suck.
Ooh. So is that based on, but I think that is also based on experience, because I have been to several restaurants in my past where I've gone in there and it has deep cultural roots, you know, but everyone in there is not from that culture. And then the food ends up sucking because it's kind of like it's kind of like Chinese food, American Chinese food. What most people don't realize is American Chinese food, they don't actually eat any of that shit actually in China, right? It's all just Americanized version of chicken and beef, essentially, right?
When we go to the Chinese supermarket and we eat at the food court and everyone there is eating Chinese, we know the food here is going to be fire. Right? We know it's going to be amazing. We know it. Right? Because everyone's Chinese.
Yep,
They're eating
everyone's
the food,
Chinese, exactly.
you know? But it's essentially doing the same thing these days, right? Being able to understand that cultures are different. I think it's okay to have certain preconceived notions.
Oh, for sure. It's more than okay to have preconceived notions. It's more than okay to have preferences, which I find that the vast majority of the people that get offended about racism are people who are offended that you have preferences and that you have particular leanings and particular things that you care about and value more than others. I think that's absolutely human. It's absolutely fine. And I find that most people who claim racism are looking for ways to be upset. That's what I think. I think if you're trust me, guys. I think everyone out there can understand and agree with what I'm about to say, which is simply this. If you are looking for racism, you can find it. Trust me. You can find it everywhere. And so I think we've used this term racism, especially with Trump. Trump totally put it over we jumped the shark with Trump. I mean, if you voted for Trump or you had any affiliation with Trump, you were a racist, completely diluting the word in its sum totality.
Did the term China virus offend you?
No, not at all.
Because we were told it's xenophobic,
Of course.
that it is divisive, and he said it's because that's where it's from, which I thought was funny.
That's where it's from. According to recent documents, it's pretty much confirmed that it did come from the Wuhan Chinese lab, right?
But why was it so? Why was that term so triggering for people? Is it that people were truly offended by it, or was that a narrative being pushed, or was it a combination of both?
It was a narrative being pushed. The reason why people didn't, or let's just say this, because I'm not going to speak for the rest of the world. I'll just say this. The talking heads, the propagandists on mainstream media were all telling us that if we say Chinese virus, then we're racist. That's what they were telling us, the talking heads. The reason I believe that they were saying that it's racist is because they didn't want us focusing on the fact that the real potential of this virus could have actually come out of China. So it was truly an obfuscation of the realities of the issue, which is they knew it came from China. They knew that they were doing gain-of-function research. They knew that they were putting millions of dollars to it. But of course now, maybe this is March 2020, is not. This guy is saying it's not racist. It's not racist. But remember, just recently, not too long ago, we had the Chinese weather balloon. But that wasn't racist. You could say that all the time, that it was a Chinese weather balloon. But the Chinese weather balloon doesn't have major implications for killing millions of people all over the globe.
What is this? NCSU. What college is NCSU?
NC State.
All right,
man. You like articles from
click on that real quick.
Articles from colleges like this, NC State, talking about why this is racist is a complete waste of these students' time.
By saying Chinese virus, he points specifically at Asian appearing people. What the fuck is an Asian appearing person versus an Asian person? I am reminding people that people of China were also victims. I saw an IGTV video from a citizen from Wuhan, China, who made the video to warn the world of the disease around late January. This isn't the point, though.
Wait, that is the point. The point is that you saw a Chinese citizen saying it's coming from China. It's a problem. Maybe you guys should all know about it. Maybe that is the issue that you're glazing over, that people were actually talking about the truth of this virus coming out of a Chinese lab, and you rather focus on the fact that you're offended that they use the word China.
Because
China.
I have spoken to some more, say, liberal Asian Americans who were offended by this.
I'm just going to say that they're just pussies. They're just. Why are you going to get offended over words? You and I grew up in a time where, at least my parents said this to me: sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now we live in a world where sticks and stones do break bones, and words make you absolutely insane. People you get absolutely offended about. Why? I just don't see the value of getting offended over words.
And we're in a day and age where there are more words out there than ever.
Of course. So I'm taking kind of a hardline stance here, but you could be on the other side of this. But man, I've never claimed anyone is racist ever, even if it's almost obviously true. I just no, you just have a preference and you're vocalizing it right now, and it is what it is. Now, if you use derogatory terms like the N-word or something like that, that's a little too far, right?
Okay, so N-word. When I was young in high school, I will admit I did use the N-word.
So did I.
Because we grew up in a time of a lot of hip hop. I grew up around a lot of basketball courts, and this is just a word that was used commonly.
Yeah, you and I had a lot of black friends.
Correct.
And back then, the cultural divide between the black culture and Asian culture was less divisive than it is now.
Correct.
And I won't speak for you, but I'll tell you, with my black friends, they considered me kind of a homie.
Yes.
Like I was part, I was a person of color.
They did not find offense to it that I used that word.
Exactly. They did not.
And I know a lot. And it's funny that we have to use that word with calling it the N-word. But I've heard a lot of blacks, whites, even Asians use the chink word.
Oh, yeah.
And that's crazy that I can say that.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I can say that word,
Yep. You can.
but I can't say the other word.
Or you could say Jap.
But you can't say the other word.
You can't say the N word. There's something holy about that word. It's been put on this pedestal of like the absolute untouchable word that only a certain people group can use, which is absolutely fascinating to me.
And I would argue that if there is a group of people other than the blacks that are allowed to use that word, I would argue it's the Asians.
Well, let me say this, and I don't know if this is your experience, but I'll tell you, the Filipino and the Vietnamese that I grew up around, they would use the N word more than black people. I don't know what it was about that culture. At least I was down in Jacksonville, Florida, so maybe that had something to do with it. But the Filipino crew and like the Vietnamese crew, those guys were so always dropping the N-bomb all the time with their crazy accents.
Meng.
Yeah.
Yeah, Meng.
Yeah, man.
Because if there's a hierarchy of groups of people that are responsible for racial oppression in America and for African American slavery and division amongst color in America, right? If there was a hierarchy of people involved, at the very bottom of the list that considers least responsible would be Asians.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Right? There's a hierarchy of like white, black, other, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Jewish, this and this. And at the very bottom, literally last place, would be Asians.
Yes. Asians, and stereotypically, we could also say the Asians generally in that vein are the least offensive people group. We're kind of the most stereotypically, maybe even in a racist vein, we are the most passive group. Right?
Most racist group. But they keep it to themselves.
Yeah, we do. We keep it internally. We don't say the silent part out loud.
Well, sometimes.
Sometimes we do.
But least responsible, right? But what rubs me the wrong way is every time there is a George Floyd type event, a Rodney King type of event, and Black Americans get really pissed off, and they always riot and loot the Asian-owned stores.
Yes.
Anger is going the wrong fucking way.
It is going the wrong way.
We have nothing to do with any of that. Nothing.
We don't frankly care in many cases.
We were not involved in the 1800s, 1700s, 1900s. We weren't even here yet.
Yeah, and frankly, the times that we did import ourselves, the Chinese became slave labor for the railway.
Yep.
And the Japanese went into internment camps.
We are great at slaving ourselves. Right?
Yeah, we do, kind of.
Because there is this news right now of the Chinese police stations. Have you seen that? Can you pull up the article, Will? There are Chinese police stations in America, and they were getting shut down. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have. Apparently, China has exported their control apparatus out into America.
And they call it secret Chinese police stations. And the right is pretty upset.
Why is the right upset about that?
Because they think that Chinese have secret police stations to monitor Americans in the United States. And the reality of it is...
Is that really what it is?
No. Their Chinese police stations are there to help other Chinese when the cops don't show up.
Yes. That's what I understood.
That's what they're there for. That's why they're always in the Chinatown.
Frankly, the first time that I heard about or knew about a Chinese police station was a decade ago when there was I don't remember the details, but long story short, there was a Chinese guy who had an altercation. He didn't get the respectable due process from the police system locally, and so he went to the Chinese version to get help. And that was like the first time I heard about something like this was a decade ago. So I knew about these police stations that were specifically there to help their citizenry and to help their expats in America deal with the governmental considerations that can happen when you're living here, when there's not so much support from the American system and you don't speak English. So going to the Chinese consulate or going to the Chinese police stations is basically the second best thing that you can do. So I always saw them as kind of a positive thing, at least in my eyes.
Self-monitoring.
Yeah, self-policing.
Self-policing. And in the era of defund the police, people will naturally figure out their own ways to monitor, help, protect, etc.
That's how mafias grow.
On the other side of it, there is a organization operating outside the lines of U.S. law themselves, and they're almost a group of their own vigilantes, technically. Right?
So that's what it's become.
I don't know, is it?
I don't know. We'll see.
Because they are arresting people or creating. I don't know if they arrest people actually.
Are they arresting people?
I don't know what the
I
Chinese
thought they were
police,
just a civil service helping out their Chinese citizenry get jobs, job placements. You know, if there's type of legal issues, you know, they have free legal counsel, these types of things.
I think they're there to settle disputes. So if one guy robs another guy, instead of going through the U.S. police and court system, they handle it amongst themselves.
It's kind of like how the Jewish culture does it too. I think the Jewish culture has their own internal like consulate or their own internal legal system. I could be, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they also have something like that.
Actually, I was at I was doing a membership thing at one of the churches locally here, and they were talking about their own structure. So if there's conflict between church members, say one guy has an affair with another girl, right?
Another guy?
Whatever it is.
Okay, Matt.
That they are able
Freudian slip.
that they are able to have their own tribunal to decide amongst themselves.
I see.
How they handle it. And there was an actual structural organization to that, which I thought was interesting.
So is this a new thing? Or is this just like we're a church group or we're a group and it's better that we settle stuff indoors, inside?
I mean, one could say that that is a good thing because you're able to figure out and settle civil disputes without getting the government involved.
I think that's racist.
The other side with that, people would think that was racist
Exactly.
because you are going against what the actual laws and rules are, and you're setting up your own rules based on your cultural ideology, which...
Is that racist though?
I mean, what's racist? I mean, that's kind of where we started, right?
Yeah, well, that's why I'm bringing it back.
What does it mean to be racist?
I'm going to say something a little off color, maybe. Pun intended.
More than what I said already?
Maybe. Maybe. But, like, I actually don't believe racism is real. I'm just going to say it out there. Just all the
Hot
banter,
take?
all the banter that I just talked about over the last 20 minutes or stuff. Like, if I were to put it all together, man, I just don't think racism is real. I think people have obviously people have different colors. They come in different colors, different shapes, different sizes, different backgrounds, different cultures. Table stakes. We all understand this. We're all a bunch of Skittles at the end of the day in this world. So if I like the red Skittles more because they just taste good and I like the shiny red color, am I a racist? No, I have a preference for a particular taste. I have a preference for a particular, idea. I have a preference for a particular experience. And my natural preferences drive my decision-making to choose the red Skittles over the purple, over the green, over the orange. Now, if I were to make a big deal over it and say, you have red Skittles and you have green Skittles, you have orange Skittles, Matt, and frankly, I'm going to tell you how to live, and you should never eat the yellow Skittles, never eat the blue Skittles. You should only eat the red Skittles because I like red Skittles. Am I being racist, or am I strongly advocating for my preference in your life? like I'm being dead serious. Like you have a daughter. You know, I have kids. I never discussed race with my kids in any type of negative context ever. It's always just an identifying marker. He was a brown skin. Appa. Okay, it's brown skin. Great. Or he was pale skin. Or peach. We taught them to use the word peach skin. Which is funny because she thinks all Koreans have peach skin. She's like, oh, Koreans, she says, if she talks about something, they had peach skin, then I automatically think she's talking about Korean. So like they have brown skin or they have peach skin, appa. And it's just been a marker of identification to create context around the conversation. So I know that she's talking about someone who's X, Y, and Z. But at the end of the day, she would never, as a 12-year-old, consider what she says is racist. It's just an identifying marker that helps create context for the conversation. And frankly, so far at up to 12 years old, Matt, I'll tell you, she's never had any type of any statements that tell me that she has one preference over the other. We as adults have preferences. We like to exact and execute across those preferences. But I'm just going to say here right now on Matt Kin's podcast on April, what are we?
May 1st.
May 1st. Racism isn't real. It's not real. It's a social construct created to divide people across a line that doesn't fucking matter. And that's my opinion.
So do you remember back in the day when they announced the blue M&M?
Yes.
For the young people out there, M&Ms did not used to have blue.
Nope.
It was a marketing thing where they decided they're going to do a vote. What color is the next M&M?
Yeah.
And then they made a blue M&M. So I was at the mall one day, and they had those candy stands where you can like pick your own things. And I asked the lady if I could have just blue M&Ms.
Oh.
Because I thought that was funny. I was a kid.
Yeah.
And they were like, of course, no. Like, you can't just pick out all the blue M&Ms.
Really? They wouldn't let you just pick out the blue
No,
ones?
they wouldn't let me pick out all the blue M&Ms. I don't think racism isn't real. I think it's very real.
Really?
I think racism is okay.
Oh, now you're basically saying the same thing as me, except you are assenting to this word racism as being
Correct.
true and real, and it's okay. Whereas I would say the word preference.
I think racist laws are not okay.
Now we're getting to agreement. Yes.
So if there are laws that say certain types of people or certain colors of people can do this, but you cannot do this, I think that's fucking bullshit.
It's bullshit, 100%.
We also know that here in the United States currently, there are no racist laws that divide. Well, arguable. If you call affirmative action reverse racism.
I was about to say affirmative action,
Right?
or sometimes called, and I don't care for people that get offended, sometimes people call it affirmative blaction, because the black people are really the only ones that can really take advantage of that.
Correct, because it's rarely positive for the other races out there.
I mean, Asians, frankly, if we were to look in the educational
Get
arena
screwed.
alone, they get screwed from the affirmative action all the time.
Correct. So I think racist laws are, like certain people can go to this restaurant and some people can go to this. By law, I think that should be no good.
Yeah.
I think I truly believe in freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to believe what you want.
Freedom of association.
And if you want to have a all black club, which there exists,
Do you? Yeah.
do it.
Do you? Yeah.
But if you're going to allow an all black club and you're going to allow an all Asian club, which exists, if you try to go to a Korean club in certain cities and you're not Korean, they may not let you in.
There's no such thing as a white club. They just call it golf. You would know, Matt. There's no white club.
Well, they call them country clubs,
That's right, country club.
but you can't have an all white club. I remember the gay bakery.
Yeah.
There was a bakery.
No,
and
it was a conservative Christian bakery.
that said no to making
A
the
gay
gay cake.
A gay cake.
And they canceled that bakery.
Yes, they did.
For saying no to making the gay cake.
That's their preference.
I think that's okay for them to do
I
that
think
if
it's
they choose
it's
to
a
do so.
private business. If they would, I think this is important. It's a private business, which means they can choose whoever they want to serve. If they want to do bad business is refusing to service people who are willing to pay you money.
Correct.
So I believe that two things can be simultaneously true at the same time, which is they can be an independent business and have preferences to who they want to serve. True. They can also make poor decisions on their own of who not to serve. True. And frankly, they have the right to do so. The real issue is that they brought it to the news, or the gay people brought it to the news and said, we want to boycott it, we want to cancel these people. But two things can be simultaneously true. You can be an independent owner-operator and do whatever you want. You can also make bad business decisions as well.
Correct. Because the market will speak.
Exactly.
And that bakery, I think it was in San Francisco, to say I will not do gay cakes in San Francisco is probably business suicide.
I think it was Seattle or regardless.
It
West
was a
Coast,
very liberal
liberal.
area.
Yeah, bad business
So
decision.
That was a bad business
for
decision, and
sure.
that bad business decision should kind of let that play out on its own.
Then let the market decide.
The government should not go in and say you have to make a cake.
That is overstepping. for
That
sure.
was the line, and I believe that's what they did.
Yes.
And that I think is not okay.
When
They
the
are
lo-
allowed to make that decision. Let the market speak. Let the market react. If the gays in the area want to protest it, and they're allowed to do that too. They want to leave negative reviews. Go for it. The government cannot get involved.
You know, it's interesting. You bring up this bakery who refused to bake a cake for a gay couple. I think you might have just pinpointed the last major mainstream media news on the gays. Like, if you think about it, the gays have won. Like, nobody cares if you're gay anymore.
No,
Like,
not at all.
Like, seriously, nobody cares. The gays have successfully achieved their mission, which is full acceptance, rights, and frankly, what maybe they didn't realize is what comes with those rights and that acceptance is you are now a nobody. Like, nobody cares about you anymore.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the bakery was kind of the last major mainstream media news about like gays and their rights. Think about this.
Okay.
Now we've shifted from the gays to the other end of the LGBT or LGB. Now we have the Q and T, right?
And plus.
Plus. So the QT plus is now the mainstream vogue. It's the mainstream, thing that everyone's getting upset about, right? So I think the gays have finally won, which is fascinating because now I'm seeing this thing called gays against groomers. Have you
Yes.
seen that? So I just saw this like a month ago or something like this. Apparently, there's a big contingency of gays who are anti-TQ plus.
They are conservative gays,
Okay.
is what I took as.
Okay. You educate me on this. Maybe you know more about this than
Well,
I saw this the other day. I was like, what? How are the gays against trans? Like, I saw this. I was like,
They
wow.
are against promoting hormone therapy to minors.
Yes, that's what it is. The grooming.
They are
Yeah,
against
yeah.
the drag shows for the kids.
Yeah, don't fuck with the kids.
Yeah. So gays against groomers, far right. I love how they call them far right.
What does that even mean anymore?
Is an American far right anti-LGBT, except they are a group of
How can you say you're anti-LGBT when it says gays?
yeah.
That's the G.
Yeah.
We live in clown world, man. That's like me saying that's like saying Asians against groomers is an American far right Asian.
But this is also Wikipedia.
Yeah, that's true. Revisionist history at its best.
They have been promoted by far right-wing media outlets such as Fox News, One America News Network, and InfoWars,
Infowars.
compared to libs of TikTok. So this is a group of gay people that are against certain extremely liberal movement of the LGBTQ plus movement,
I think it's mostly the TQ plus,
which is crazy because
queer plus.
you promote LGBTQ plus, but if you don't agree with the main narrative of LGBTQ plus, you are now considered a anti-LGBTQ plus, LGBTQ plus.
Man, the fact that we're like struggling saying this stuff there's so much satires like in this.
That's like when they call like Candace Owens a racist because they say she's
like
anti-black.
She's like and from a physical appearance, she's
very
like
pretty.
a dark black. She's a dark chocolate, and she's pretty, no
Yeah.
doubt. She's pretty, but she's like a dark black. Like, she's really black.
Yeah.
And so I find it fascinating when they say that she's like a racist, and she's what are these people going on? Anyway,
what was that?
so you believe racism is okay because it's a natural order of things. I'm putting words in your mouth now. I think preferences are 100% okay. It's just a matter of saying the silent part out loud. If you lack self-control and you are communicating your preferences in maybe a derogatory fashion, that's on you, brother. Like, shut the fuck up. Nobody cares about your live your preferences. You don't need to tell nobody about your preferences, is the way that I see it, right? If I like chocolate ice cream, I should enjoy chocolate ice cream whenever I want to have chocolate ice cream. But I should not be offended, and should probably in most cases not be promoting or pushing or evangelizing or proselytizing that you should enjoy chocolate too. And if you don't like chocolate, you're a terrible anti-chocolate person. Like, come on. Like, that's problems. That's solutions looking for problems in most cases. I think people are just complaining for the fact that they have something to complain about, and they feel like inside they're unwell, they're not fulfilled in life, and so they need to make sure that their misery has company, and they want to make sure that you're reminded that you're a terrible person just like they are.
I think talking about it is okay. I think telling people you don't like certain things is fine. I think the problem stems from forcing people to believe your way.
Yes.
I think it's okay that people like different things and that we'd say you say don't say the silent part out loud.
You can say the silent part out
I
loud.
say fucking wear a t-shirt about it. I don't care. Because the market and society will naturally organize itself around it.
Yeah.
And I think the idea is that people in America, especially in America, are inherently not negatively racist. They don't believe that one group is superior to another as far as people are concerned. Maybe I think Korean food is better than other food.
Peace.
I think Asians are better at math.
Peace.
I think black people jump higher and run faster.
Peace.
They're stronger.
Peace.
But it doesn't mean I think one group is superior to another group as a whole. But in certain things, based on our history.
So I think we should, now I say we, it's your call. The Madkin podcast should be an environment where we can speak freely about color, race, preferences, all these things, right? Preferences include the entire gamut from sexual preference to whatever preference. And for all of you guys out there who claim us as racist or bigots or insensitive people, fuck off.
Well, I've been thinking about this topic a little bit.
No, fuck off, man.
I've been thinking about this topic a little bit because our last video, we talked about politics a little bit, a lot. And coming up with a title, I was like, what title can I put that will help with the algorithm?
Yep. And it turns out that the algorithm appreciates words that are divisive.
Correct.
But highly and inflammatory, but highly specific.
Correct. I hate playing the race card.
Yeah.
I think it's dumb. I think we are who we are. And at the end of the day, we're all Americans. We lived here. I was born here. We have our families here. Our businesses are here. Our futures are here. And YouTube wants me to pigeonhole myself into being a certain way.
For sure.
They, without saying it out loud, they're essentially saying, if you claim to be, and if you pigeonhole yourself, or if you go into the slot of I am a Asian conservative, we will promote you.
Yes, we will promote you more.
If you are a little bit of everything, we don't like that. We want you to be the Asian guy. Right?
So, will you capitulate? Will you become the Asian guy? Or will you continue to experiment around the breadth and depth and latitude in which we are having conversations now?
So we ran an experiment last week. And I had a discussion with Will. We talked about this for hours because he knows how much I hate doing the I'm Asian thing.
Yeah, we know.
And we're like, let's try it. I bet you if we put do the Asians support Trump in a title, I bet you YouTube will give it more impressions and put it out there more.
And so,
They did.
of course they did. Of course they did.
Of course they did.
Because categorizing us is far easier, right? It's far easier for their algorithms, for sure.
They want you to be your race. They want that to be your identity.
So why do you think media companies and certainly mainstream media is promoting divisiveness and promoting separation based on skin color, culture, and all this stuff? Why do you think they're pushing this agenda, this propaganda of racism and skin color and all this stuff? Why do you think that is?
So,
Because it's obvious. It's obvious. If you turn on mainstream media now, it's always black person versus white person, or Asian person versus black person, or black white cop versus. It's always along these racial lines. They're always promoting this dividing line of race. Why do you think that is? Why are they doing this to us?
so I want to say that they're doing it intentionally to divide us, right? I want to say that.
But for what end?
Well, I also want to say maybe they're just doing it because that's what people click on.
Maybe that's just the primal ooze that comes out of us.
Yeah.
It's the primal need of
Because we blame the media for dividing and putting all these categories on people, right? And using dismissive words.
I know where you're going with this.
But the reality is that that's what we as a people click on and want to consume. Maybe they're just giving us what we want.
Shit. Maybe we're just derogatory son of a bitches.
Yeah. So I want to blame the media. I want to blame tech. I want to blame the people that work and lurk in the shadows like we always do. But maybe at some point we need to do like some self-reflection. Like, fuck. They're giving us exactly what we want. And what we want is divisiveness. What we want is drama. What we want is more reality TV. Because the reality is that if people didn't click that shit, they wouldn't make it.
Which reminds me of we just had a famous person just pass. His name was Jerry Springer. Did you hear about that? Sad. This is very apropos. It's contextually relevant to our conversation right now. Because I tweeted about this. I tweeted about it. I said, I heard Jerry Springer has died. And I said, maybe the reason why he's died, this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but maybe the reason Jerry Springer died is because he's no longer needed. The world has become his show, is what I said. And so maybe there's a tongue-in-cheek and there's some comicalness in that. But I truly believe that the world has, at some level, become the clown show that he began back in the 90s, right? So the question is was Jerry Springer just a mirror of society back in the 90s growing into where we are now? Or did he just give us, just like you said, is he just giving us what we wanted?
His
absolute garbage TV.
His model is being replicated constantly, right?
Oh,
just all in different forms.
Yeah, he was the beginning of the model.
Correct. So I think about, because we love seeing clips from whatever podcast.
Yeah.
They're funny.
We watched some the other day.
But they are essentially the modern day version of a Jerry Springer.
Yes.
It's one or two smart guys. They bring in these very not smart women.
Trashy.
They put very difficult social issues in front of them. Let them make bad decisions, bad points, and break them apart for the sake of consumption.
Exactly.
They are not ready for this. They come just because they want to get more eyes, get more famous.
Which is crazy.
And they come in almost in a masochistic way.
Oh, yeah.
Because they know they're going to get burned, but they know they're going to get the eyes, so it's worth it. How is that any different than what Jerry Springer did?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I actually looked into the application process of the whatever podcast, and literally on their directives, they say, if you want to become part of this podcast, send us information and you can come. And it's like, girl, you know you're going to get roasted.
Yeah.
You know you're going to get, but these girls don't care because they know that they're going to get hundreds of thousands of views and maybe their Instagram's going to get bumped up by 10,000 viewers or 10,000 subscribers. And so completely sadomasochistic, completely going into this environment where they know they're going to get destroyed, absolutely shredded by these guys who, you say smart, they're sophisticated, but I wouldn't say they're ridiculously intelligent. But it's just crazy that we live in a world now, and now that we're kind of looking at it from a meta perspective, absolutely, this is what Jerry Springer brought about.
Yeah.
He brought about the absolute consumption of garbage TV and trash TV.
I mean, Fresh and Fit essentially does the same thing. Bring in these hoes.
Bring in the
Bring in the hoes, right?
I didn't say it, mama.
Tear them apart on a podcast in long form.
You kiss your mama with that mouth, bro.
You know, the 304s, bring them in.
The 304s.
Right? And they get obliterated, but it's worth it because they get the clicks, they get the views. Maybe some guy out there be like, oh, she's kind of cute. I'll follow. I'll subscribe. Maybe I'll give her my $8 a month for the OnlyFans.
Oh, jeez.
You know, and it was worth it because, you know, the idea of there is no such thing as bad marketing.
Good press, bad press, all good. I've heard that before.
And it's essentially the Jerry Springer model in different form factors now.
So I actually had a moment when I was thinking about Jerry Springer, and I was like, did he start the garbage TV, or was the garbage TV always going to come? And if he didn't do it, it would be someone else, right? Well, we had Montel Williams at the same time. We had that one lady. Do you remember what the lady's name? She did that trashy TV as well.
Ricky Lake.
Ricky.
I don't even know why I thought of that.
How did you remember that, bro?
It just came out.
She went from like skinny to fat to skinny. Do you remember that too?
Yeah.
Like we had a lot of those talk shows that were just absolute garbage. So I think Jerry Springer wasn't the impetus of it. I think the demand was always there, and he was just the one who codified it and made it really solid.
Just bring it to the masses.
Yeah.
Because people at the end of the day want fame, and people will do anything just for that 15 minutes.
So here's a question. Do you think Jerry Springer is racist?
No, I think he's amazing.
Do you think but his program made it pretty clear that there was a trashy divide of black trash, white trash, Asian trash rarely. There's a couple Mexicans a couple times I think I remember seeing. But it was pretty like low class people of color or whatever. You know, I don't know. I don't know if he promoted that or that was just part of the shtick.
I think just the fact that he would bring anyone on that had a controversial story, the fact that he would give eyes to anybody and let the trash be trash.
Yeah. I like the baby mama one's the best. Like,
Yeah.
you are not the father, and having the guy being like, what's that coffin? What's that coffin? Come on. Not the father. That's exactly right.
I think there was something fun about what he did. And he was before his time.
He was.
And I think if he was in this day and era of internet, he'd be huge.
Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. Oh,
He had to do it on TV.
Dude, he'd be God. He'd be
Imagine if he
godlike.
could do it without all the censorship we had then.
Oh, man.
Because TV back then was super censored.
That's
You
right.
can say certain things, you can touch certain topics.
All right.
Now, if you unleash that guy onto like the internet,
Oh, he'd be a god. He'd be God King, guys. He'd be like the God King in the 300 movie, right? Oh man, he would crush it. I wonder if he'd be too old though. I wonder if he'd be too old for the population.
so I think people should be able to be who they want to be, think what they want, say what they want, as long as the government is not pointing a gun at your head and forcing you to believe one thing, which I think is wrong, which is what I'm against these days.
That's where I agree with your sentiments about you can speak however you want, your preferences, racism, it is what it is. It is only when you start bringing in the authorities and governmental
guns.
control. That's where it's just like, bro, you went too far on this. Like, we don't need government telling us and creating rules and laws around this. Affirmative action needs to go, by the way. I'm just going to say it right there.
I think we, the people, are smart, are accepting, are generally a good people. And I don't think we need to be told how to act any longer.
And you've brought up the point multiple times, which I just want to reiterate, is the market will decide.
Correct.
If you decide to be a absolutely rambunctious and absolutely egregious and absolutely offensive individual shouting to the world your preferences, then the market will respond and they won't do business with you.
Correct.
Good. Good. You made it clear.
That's how it should
That's
be.
how it should be.
Instead of the government pointing their guns at you and saying, you can't do this, you're a racist.
Bake a cake, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Bake a cake.
Don't bake the fucking cake if you don't want to bake the cake.
Don't bake the cake. Dude, Will, go find the rap bake a cake video by, I forget his name, the guy.
Little John.
It's Little John Bake a Cake. Have you seen that video?
No.
It's Bake a Cake, Little John video. It's one of the Disney mashups where it's a bake a cake. Go find it. We'll watch that. It could be the end clip for today. Go find it. Little John. There we go. Where's the video? There you go.
Have a good day, everybody.
There's a better version of that where like it's Little John and that's where the cake's splashing all over the face and shit and all this derogatory stuff.